let's talk about Warlock and the Infinity Watch. So really excited to dive into this series. It's a series that I have fully collected now. And it's like 41 issues. So it's a mid-series. But I really like Adam Warlock. Silver Surfer gives me my like celestial cosmic fill. Doctor Strange gives me the mystical fill that I need, and Spider-Man gives me like the everyday sort of vibe and comic book that I really enjoy. Warlock and the Infinity Watch. I think I really love the Infinity Stones. I mean, just so they sucker me in with that. And Warlock is a complicated character. So I think that's another reason that I was drawn to this. And also just sort of like the team dynamic in Warlock and the Infinity Watch is another reason that was a series that I wanted to continue to collect. When I was looking over my old comic book collection and figuring out which series do I want to continue to collect, which ones do I want to just give my brother Mike and have him either, just throw them away, sell them, give them to his daughter, collect them. That's up to him now. Warlock and the Infinity Watch was one of them. I was like, you know what? No, there's something here. So I was excited to dive into this series. Now, there's a quote that I love from the first issue, and it's from the Living Tribunal. It's very obvious why I like this quote. With great power comes great responsibility. But the tribunal goes on to say, and little happiness. So we all know the quote, with great power comes great responsibility. But the full quote is, with great power comes great responsibility and little happiness. Man. And I think Spider-Man would back that up. That Parker Luck, just always down on his luck and going through hard times. And a lot of it is because he's always trying to do the right thing. And it's hard to do the right thing. That's what makes him a hero. Is, if it was easy to do the right thing, then everybody'd be doing it. And, we wouldn't have all the evil and the pain that we do in this world. But it is not easy to do the right thing. And I won't say that being a good person means you're going to be miserable. I don't believe in that. But I do believe that being a good person comes with sacrifice. And and so it's something that and it's not easy to make those sacrifices. I struggle with it. I try to be a good person. And it doesn't always work out. There are times when I've made terrible choices because it was easier to make those terrible choices than it was to make the right choice. So that line just really, really stuck with me. And, like I said, obviously I love Spider-Man, so that line jumped out at me right away. But then when he added the and little happiness, it was the cherry on top of the sundae. So it's always cool to see cosmic beings like Mistress Love and Master Hate, Galactus, obviously, Eternity, Master Order, and Lord Chaos. And there's many others that appear in the first issue of Warlock and the Infinity Watch. And the Living Tribunal is not often seen and very rarely heard from, which is another reason why I love the Infinity Gauntlet Saga and the Infinity Watch itself, is because you get to see these characters more and hear from them more, which is cool, which, like I said, you don't always get to see. So this kind of gives me a little bit of, it's almost like a mix between Silver Surfer, a little bit of Doctor Strange with like, I don't know, the X-Men or the Avengers, because you get like that team vibe, but there's like a little bit of mysticalness to these stories, and there's still that like cosmic element to it that like the Silver Surfer has, but not, I don't think not as heavy as in the Silver Surfer. Anyways, the first 2 issues go over the aftermath of the Infinity Gauntlet and choosing the Infinity Watch itself. So Adam Warlock has the Infinity Gauntlet after after he defeats Thanos. Spoiler alert. Of course, I guess you gotta say that before. You give away spoilers, so that doesn't really work. So that is a spoiler disclosure, I guess. Even then, I think you have to put the disclosure beforehand. Oh well, it's just a spoiler. Fuck it. So Adam Warlock has the Infinity Gauntlet, and he's got to go, and instead of one person carrying it, it's kind of decided by Eternity, and because Eternity's being kind of like a little petty bitch, and he doesn't want anyone to be as powerful as him, or even more powerful than him, which is kind of what happened when Thanos had the Infinity Gauntlet. So he made the Living Tribunal say that they have to be separated. And Adam Warlock convinces the Living Tribunal that he's the best person to do that. So he's going to choose who gets each one of the gems. He's going to keep the Soul Gem. The Soul Gem's kind of like always been with him, so that makes the most sense. Now, the first arc is heavily focused on Adam Warlock's backstory, and the rest of the Infinity Watch kind of takes a back seat. Now, there's a reason that they focus on Adam Warlock's backstory, and they kind of like keep rehashing it over and over and over again. I forget that these are like released monthly, so that's one of the reasons why they keep rehashing it. They've done, I've covered this before, but they've done a much better job in modern comics, not always rehashing the story over and over and over again in each issue. Just like, just in case you forgot, like they give you just like a brief little disclaimer, first page, tell you kind of like all the relevant information you need to appreciate and understand the story, just in case like you're like picking up, issue 4 or issue like, 20, like in a series. They'll kind of give you like the relevant information you need to like appreciate the current issue that you're reading. And I think that's just a much better way to do it. So in order for the first arc to pay off, you really need to know about Adam's backstory and like who his foes are, who he's defeated, why he was created, and that pays off. So if you're reading it and you're kind of like, man, they're repeating this a lot, just know that they're repeating it for a reason, and they want you to really absorb the information so that so that you can appreciate the arc as it unfolds. After this, we go into the Infinity War. And if you don't read the Infinity War, or if you are unfamiliar with it, basically, I think the Magus, which is the evil side of Adam Warlock, Adam Warlock had to like split himself, and like so the Magus is like all of his evil, and there's another part of him that is all good, and like Adam Warlock himself is supposed to be just neutral, and that's what he wanted to do in order to wield the Infinity Gauntlet, wield the Infinity Stones, and sort of give him the best decision making. He's like, well, if I have no good in me, I have no bad in me, then I am all logic, and I am just going to make logical decisions, which is a fallacy, and it was a mistake on his part, but he ends up paying the price right away with the Infinity War. Now, I didn't read the Infinity War alongside this. So, if you are not reading the Infinity War alongside the first, I think, what does this cover? The first 20-some issues of Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. Because I cover the issues, I read the comics myself, but I also link in the description of this video a book that you can check out for Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch Volume 1. You should check it out like on a Kindle if you want to, or you can buy the book itself. I like to have something like just tangible to read, and I just like reading comics myself. That's one of the reasons I collect them. Instead of just reading them online on a tablet or whatnot, I just like to having the physical copies of it. That's just me. If you are not reading the Infinity War alongside this, you're going to be a little bit confused. It jumps around a lot. It kind of these are tie-in issues to that arc. Now, sometimes tie-in issues are you're able to read them. Sometimes you don't even need to read them alongside the main storyline. But like when it's done really well, it'll actually enhance the main storyline, and there'll be a reason why it's included. And these are that. There is a reason why it's included. And they do help tie in the overall bigger story of the Infinity War. But if you're not reading the Infinity War, then it can seem like it's kind of jumping all over the place. So for these issues, you could get lost a little bit. And that's actually kind of a problem with the first 20 issues of Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. And I think why the series itself didn't go beyond 40 was because they did it was too dependent on reading other series. Like it was too much like an addendum almost to like the Infinity Saga itself, like when they went to the Infinity War and then they went to the Infinity Crusade. So I think they like hampered themselves, but not really diving into Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. So some highlights of the Infinity War battle are a Thanos versus Thanos battle. Gotta love that. Because that's like kind of like what happens in the Infinity War. There's like the evil self of these different characters, since like the Magus is I don't even know if I'm saying that name right, by the way. I am just terrible at pronunciations. If you watch our other channel with my wife, Definitely Not Definitive, you will know that. But so anyways, like, I mean, you could say like, oh, an evil version of Thanos, isn't that just Thanos? But seeing Thanos battle himself is fun. And there's also a cool moment between Gamora and Thanos. And their relationship is slightly different in this than it was in the movies. They actually have a little bit more like respect and I think respect is the right word for each other. I actually like the relationship more here than I do in the movies. Again, no hate towards those MCU movies. I know it's like a popular thing right now to hate on the MCU. Maybe less so after Deadpool and Wolverine. But I didn't dislike it how they did it in the movies. It's just better here in the comics. That's all I'm gonna say. It's better in the books. It's better in the book. The book is better. I'm one of those people now. And also just a warning that issue 10 has a very dark story on Gamora's history. It's pretty unsettling, actually, what happened to her. And yeah, I mean, don't even really want to cover that. I just want to give you a warning on that. There's been more horrible stuff shown on TV, and like if you watch like Law and Order SVU, but it still is a little disturbing that I thought I'd give you a disclosure. Jumping ahead to number 15. This was a cool issue because Eternity teases that there are 5 people that Adam Warlock will meet and gives hints at who they may be. So riddles are always fun, right? And a riddle from Eternity himself, that's just a great time. So it's a prophecy from Eternity that hooks you just when you think the series may be losing you a little bit. And like I said, that's because it's not diving into the characters enough of the Infinity Watch, and it's like it's too much like dependent on reading the Infinity War alongside it to really get hooked in to the story itself. Unless you are also familiar with Adam Warlock and like Adam Warlock, because he's kind of like, he never really gets lost too much in it. But I liked the characters enough in this that I was still willing to continue with it, but 15 kind of really brings you back. The other thing that I thought was interesting was that they kind of made the Infinity Watch pointless during this. So the Infinity Watch is together so that they can all each learn to master and learn to protect the Infinity Stones so that nobody can bring them together again like Thanos did and wreak havoc on the galaxy and the universe. But Eternity talks to the Living Tribunal and tells him, hey, you should make it a rule that these Infinity Stones can no longer be used together, that they can no longer work if they're all gathered together. But the Living Tribunal is like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a great idea. Well, then what do you even need the Infinity Watch for? If no one can, I guess you can still have them all together and it would still make you pretty powerful, but you can't use them all together to be omnipotent. So yeah, that was to me an odd choice to make. Like maybe make that after the Infinity Watch is over and their run is done. But to like do it before the series has really even gotten started, I thought was an odd choice. Now, one thing I really did like is that each issue starts with a real life quote from a famous author or poet. It's just a nice little touch that they put in there, and I appreciated that. So, I don't know. I mean, if you are a fan of the Infinity Gauntlet series, if you like the Infinity Stones, then I think that Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch is something to pick up. However, I'd pick up the Infinity Gauntlet series and this series and the Infinity War and the Infinity Crusade. Like you have to kind of pick them all up to really, I think, appreciate it. I'm curious how the series is going to go after this is all done. Like when it's just the Infinity Watch. I'm really looking forward to just reading that. I've read like different things here and there. Like before I collected the entire series, there's issues I've read past 22. But since this is the first time I've actually collected the full series, I'm looking forward to like just reading it straight through and seeing how it all ties together. They can make like more of a coherent storyline and some good arcs and really dive into the Infinity Watch. Because there are some really fun characters in here, like Moondragon and Drax and Gamora and Pip and Adam Warlock himself. Like each one of them, I think, is very interesting and fascinating. Drax and Pip are probably like a little bit lower just because, Drax's intelligence. Although Drax in this one is more interesting than, again, the movies. A little bit more tragic as well than in the movies. I mean, didn't have necessarily the story of his daughter and wife getting killed by Ronan, but some tragic stuff does happen to him. And Moondragon's actually his kid, and he doesn't know that. And she killed him. And so, that's what I'm saying. It's like there's some tragic stuff that's happening with Drax. And it's not so much that he's an idiot as that he has brain damage. It's not that he is like just someone that always is very literal, because like that's like what his people are. That he's just, like I said, he's been through a lot of shit. So if it resurfaces, how's it all going to break down? Just one of the many elements that is cool in the Infinity Watch that I don't think they explore enough. They touch on it briefly, but they can dive deeper. And so I hope they do as this series continues. I don't know if the next book covers all of it or if there's 3 volumes to this series for Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. But I still enjoyed the read. And if you like the Infinity Stones, then I think you should definitely pick it up. Link is in the description of this video. Check it out.